Hi creators, it's Claire from Stringworth and it's time for part 2 of making 4 Christmas stockings. Now I had 6 sides and since then I've had a little bit of sewing time and I've made 2 little extra pieces, including these pinwheels that I'm absolutely in love with. Are they perfect? No. Like if you look right in the center. But if you don't look closely, they look fabulous. I'm also going to use this as my inside. It's not necessarily my style, so I thought that would be good to use up some of that stash. It's pretty, but it's just not very me. Pink flowers and brown. Probably haven't seen those on my channel before. So I'm going to go ahead, I will show you all the finished pieces. I'm going to go ahead and make the last 2 sides. I'll show you all the finished pieces when I kind of decide what's going to match with what. And I have the very important decision of deciding if the stockings are going to hang this way or that way. Very important decision because I haven't really planned proactively which side I'm going to be on. And there's some pieces that I'm really, proud of, that I really like, whether that's colour combination or technique, and some I'm a bit on the fence about. So I will take you through them when I do that. Actually, I may do that now because this is a piece I'm really proud of and I would like to make sure that this is going to be on the front. So I'm also going to try and avoid having too much of the same. Like I do have 2 pieces very similar to this because I made them 2 at a time. So I'm going to try also to avoid having too much of the same, but I think that should be okay based on where we're at. So let's go, we'll lay out the 6 pieces I've got and we will see whether I end up toe to the left or toe to the right. So I've got my 6 pieces laid out. This one probably is my least favourite. It's the combination of these 2 fabrics. Not quite sure why. This one is probably my second least favourite. And then these are all quite equal. Love this section in here. Half square triangles. I actually really like the kind of patchy and then the chevron-y shape. So I've got 2 versus 2. I really don't want to have to remake anything. That's not on the agenda today. So what would you choose? Would you choose the top 2 or the bottom 2? So of these 2, so let's compare. Like these 2 equally, like these 2 equally, do not like these 2 equally. This one really is my least favourite. And if I was to go with this row, I would have to recreate something here. So I could potentially look at swapping that piece, maybe with that bottom section. Then I'd be happy. I'm not too minded about this one. That one's in between. So if I decide that isn't going to work over here, then I may go with that row. Let me know in the comments what you would do. One of the things I've found quite useful is to have 2 of the templates. So I can kind of have one underneath and be working and then one on the top and see where that kind of overlap is or isn't. Really helps to kind of get the placement right. Here they are then, all 4, and you'll notice that I dealt with those stripes and I actually split them between that one and this one up here. So we're going to go, this is the front and these are the back, and I love how they come together. So now I'm going to piece them with the batting and start quilting. The other thing I need is the lining, and I have this doubled over so that I get one facing each direction, a front and a back, and I do just need to extend that a little bit at the top, so I'm not going to worry about refolding it. This is apparently Samantha by Joan Kessler, but it would be a number of years old because my mother-in-law actually gave me this from her stash. So I'll go ahead and make 4 more of those double-sided. Okay, so I've got 1 of each side. This will be a front, this is going to be a liner, and I have my batting. These got progressively smaller as I realised I'd not quite measured it. So I'm going to start just by kind of laying these out, and then I will pin the layers together. So this should be, the front should be slightly wider than the back, and the toe is definitely longer. I'm just going to see how well I can get them arranged, really. I've got my guide here. So I should have plenty of space on the front and sufficient space on the back, let's say. I do have the bent quilting pins. I did find that made life a bit easier and gave less puckering when I was doing, well, while pinning out my last quilt. From here I can get a bit of an idea, particularly around these corners, how they kind of track on the side. So I've got maybe 1 inch on this side, about 1 inch on that side, so pretty happy with that. From here I can tell that the toe is going to be trimmed quite a bit. Here again about 1 inch here, decent on the other side. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start just, I'll move all the pins to one side now. I know it's even on both sides. And rather than pinning them all out, I'm just going to pin them one at a time. So it feels definitely like I am making progress, because one side of one stocking is going to get quilted. For quilting, I think I'm just going to do some simple diagonals, probably 1.5 to 2 inches apart. I would like, I don't need dense quilting. They're going to be used once a year, they're going to be hung. I'm just working with masking tape and running the foot along the edge of the tape. Just trying to keep the quilting simple so it goes pretty quick. So I just kind of set the foot, the needles in the middle position so it's equal on both sides of the tape. And then I'll just move across. I picked kind of a diagonal. I'll try to keep it more or less that same one for each of the pieces. Just had to pick a direction, and that's the direction I ended with. So that's 8 quilted. I need to obviously trim to the size. And then that is the brown flower back. It's a little bit puffy, but it's going to be inside and you're never really going to see it, and getting these finished is more important than getting it perfect. I had to sit down because my feet were starting to get sore, but I have, this is the last stocking, so I have 2 sides to go. Just started this one, and then I'm going to move on to trimming, which makes then things should start looking like they're intended to be. I'm just going to do the last line on the last side, but then I'm probably going to have to leave it here for at least the moment because there are other things I need to go and do. One of the things I need to do is work out how much I'm going to attach the two sides together. I can't decide if I'm just going to run like a wide bias binding and try and sandwich both sides at the same time, or something else. So I will work that out while I'm away. I may hopefully come back to this tonight because I've got a week. So it is Saturday the, what's that, 5th, 6th today. So I want these to be ready for next weekend. So I've got about a week. So hopefully this doesn't turn into a 3-part episode. I would actually really love to get this done as a 2-part episode, but we will see what happens later. And that's the last one. So now I have to figure out what I'm doing for the edge, and obviously I have to deal also with the top. So if I get 2 pieces and I do end up kind of single binding them, and if I do that, I'm probably going to attach them first, then I still have to make sure that I deal with the top even if I run a single piece of binding down one side. So I may actually bind off these tops first, then attach them together. So just do kind of a lap around and then put the binding on just to finish those raw edges. Hope they're big enough to like be able to get in. So that's the last of the binding for the top of each side. I gotta tell you, I don't love it. My line ends up pretty wonky, but it does definitely get the job done. So now I am going to go and have a think about how I'm going to piece the two together, 2 sides, and most importantly, I have to work out which 2 pieces are going to go together to make the stocking. I thought that was going to be a lot harder, but it was just kind of obvious. So that is done. Now to work out joining them together. I started bringing these together last night, and the front, top, the back, honestly I'm not sure I like this technique. That may be because I've not tried it enough, but my lines are all wibbly. I should have done the tape on the bias because it doesn't really love going around corners, and I have plenty. I'm just kind of missing bits when, particularly as it gets kind of tricky on the corners. And then I pretty much remember I sewed from here, I think to about halfway up, and then realised the bobbin thread ran out. So last night I had a small tantrum, threw everything down and went, I am not finishing this today. So I'm gonna have a go today. I've got quite a few bits missing, which is just really frustrating because it's sewn down like that. I'm honestly tempted to try just not, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stitch in the ditch and catch on the back, and I'm having real problems on the back, and I'm wondering if I try actually stitching on the back so that I can see what's happening, and not worrying too much about whether that stitch is sitting in the ditch. So I might try that on this side to see how that technique goes. I'm trying to avoid having to hand finish these because it would just take such a long time. Today is Thursday. I do have tomorrow, Friday, to try to finish them, but there are a million other things to do because Christmas is coming. So finishing them by hand is really not that much of an option. I'll also say, although they seemed enormous when I held them up, like, it doesn't seem like it would actually get very much in there. I have also to do like a hanging tag, hanging loop, so but I figured I would just pop that on after. And with the ends, so I trimmed, and then what I will do is I will fold down and kind of tuck and fold that across to give that nice finished edge at the top. So let me try a bit of a reverse and see if that's any better. So this is the first one. I have one side done and it looks nice. The strip was 3¼ inches. I just happen to have pretty much a 3¼ inch piece of this left from when I cut the insides, and I actually really like that. But I think probably I'll pick out this green. So I've got 2 with the flowers, and I'll probably do 2 with the green, just so there's a bit of a matching. And then just for a reality check, these are the trimmings, and it's not getting any better. This is all sewn together, so I have to figure out what exactly I might do with that. It'd be difficult to tell if it's going to work until I've actually gone quite a way. So I'm going to see if I can get down to somewhere at bottom, and then I'll probably rip that and redo it if being able to see what I'm doing improves the situation. So it is a bit wobbly. Like here I'm on the bias, here I'm a way off, and in here it's good. But honestly, from a distance, like, am I gonna notice that? Maybe in some future year I may redo this, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just gonna snip this, and then I'll probably come all the way back around. I'm gonna leave it threaded just so that I don't have to bury any extra ends. Don't need that. It's not too bad in there in terms of alignment, but here I really do need to unpick it, else I'm not going to be able to maneuver the fabric to where I'd like it to be. Well, there it is. You can see the line does waver. Oh, and here I've actually sewn onto the bias. Got a few loose threads in here. But from a distance, I think that will be fine for today. And if there's a few folds where I've just caught up the extra because it's not caught on the bias, I will live with that. Most definitely live with that. So now I just have to do the other 3. I'll come back with the finished product. There are 4 finished stockings and I've got about 12 hours to spare. So let me run you through them. So I've got stocking number 1. And then stocking number 2. Oh, stocking number 3. And these are in no particular order yet. I have not chosen my favourite. And stocking number 4. And so for the tag, I made a simple kind of short-ish loop, it's about 7 inches. Turned it inside out, having sewn 3 sides. I then just top stitched the last edge, tucked inside itself, inside the tube, and then I hand stitched the 2 ends together, just offset because there's quite a bit of bulk in there, and then I just kind of stitched along to stitch it on. Now I haven't stitched it because it kind of then allows it to hang a bit better. I figured if I was kind of to stitch it really straight, you know, it was going to be kind of a bit weird. So it allows it just to have a bit more of a natural hanging shape. And that is 4 stockings finished. Let me know in the comments which one is your favourite. This is up there for me, but that's only because I don't have the other 3 up here. And they are going to hang that way. So what's that, right to left for me? And I will put up a picture. So I think I'm going to put them on the front of the TV cabinet, all nice and neat together. And the surprises start tomorrow with a Christmas movie, and then we've got some Christmas socks and lots of fun things. So let me go hang them up and I will show you. And thanks for joining. If you haven't seen part 1, go and check it out. We made the patchworks and the pattern was really simple, just draw a sock shape. Merry Christmas! Before we go, in reality check, I made this much offcuts. A couple of that I may be able to salvage. I separated it from the wadding offcuts, so I'll probably use them to stuff something. And then I have a very messy kind of bunch of really skinny trims. So I'll consolidate those into my scraps